All right, what is going on, Rope Breakers? We are here live for React After Raw, following the Go Home edition of Monday Night Raw. So you know what that means. It is the Go Home edition of React After Raw. I am here with the esteemed panel, the one and only Matt Donato. Matt, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Oh, I'm ready to get into this thing. I'm
Oh,
I'm ready to go after that Raw.
oh yeah, I am too. And we have Randy Hill here tonight as well. Randy, how are you after tonight's Raw?
I'm ready to talk so much smack about this show. I'm kidding. I'm ready to go, guys. I'm ready to get this thing going.
All right, all right. Unfortunately, Aussie can't join us again tonight, and he won't be with us for the foreseeable future. He's wrapped up in some other things right now, so we will see Aussie sometime again soon. But you can always watch him on the Sharpshoot, his weekly YouTube show. So let's jump into the supposed main event. Uh, my first question is why? Why did they have Mark Henry's Rally for America main event a go home Raw? I don't get it. It was horrible booking, horrible booking. Um, it shouldn't have happened, and it wasn't that it was a bad segment. I mean, on Lana and Rusev's part, they did fine. They did well. Lana cut a great promo on saying how Rusev failed at the Olympics to a Russian and you know all that other stuff. But really, it should not have main evented a go home Raw. If anything, the Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns match should have main evented tonight's Raw. And just terribly built up this match for Night of Champions. I don't know. I'm very disappointed after such a good show that they closed it out with that. It just rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know, Matt. What do you think?
Well, as you rope breakers can see, I am sipping some tea right now. So normally it'd probably make you think that, I'm going to be calm and zen, but you'd be wrong because I am pissed. That main event was absolutely ridiculous, and I agree. Just like you said, the fact that it was the main event is what made it ridiculous. I would not have minded that segment had it been the previous segment before the main event, thrown into the middle instead of the John Cena Brock Lesnar thing. I feel like the John Cena Brock Lesnar thing should have been the main event, either that or Roman Reigns Seth Rollins. You
Definitely.
know, you put the main what the main event is what you're trying to build towards. It's to show you want everybody to buy into. You know, those are your draw matches, so why aren't they in the main event? It makes zero sense business-wise. It makes zero sense storyline-wise. They've done really nothing huge to build this Rusev-Henry storyline. It's you know, I was, I've been on record as saying that I was interested in it, that I thought, that this had potential for a main event of Monday Night Raw, the match itself. I don't feel like this is a pay-per-view worthy match. And I really hope that it's not going to be on the pre-show, but I swear I would not mind seeing it. Um, just a terrible waste of a main event. Nothing got done. Yeah, like you said, Lana cut a decent promo. Like you said, using that 1992 Olympic loss that Henry suffered to Russia against him, really fit in perfectly. Um, but like I was saying before we went on the air, where's Rusev going? He's been on the same. I'm all for a slow build. I love it. I think that needs to be done, but this is beyond slow. I mean, he's been on the same exact track since he's debuted in the WWE at the Royal Rumble. I mean, they've really done nothing with him, and he's becoming very stale really quickly. And that sucks because I do think he's talented, and I kind of fear that the IWC is right in saying that he's just going to be the next, Vladimir Kozlov, the next gimmick like that. That's just going to become a comedy act. Rusev will probably be like one of Adam Rose's stooges coming up soon if they don't do something quick. But yeah, waste of a main event. I couldn't agree with you more.
Right, I have to agree with you there on the fact that Rusev is a very talented athlete. I mean, some of the shit that the guy does in the ring is phenomenal for a guy his size, and the fact that, like you said, he's being wasted in this really slow build, almost a snail-like build. It's not like a Daniel Bryan versus the Authority build. It's not even a build at all. It's like, okay, we have a Russian athlete on our roster, so we're gonna put him in a conflict with American superstars like Jack Swagger and Mark Henry because of the current conflict between the U.S. and the world versus the Russia and the Ukraine conflict right now. And that's fine. It was fine, and it was interesting when it happened with Jack Swagger. It was entertaining to watch. But now you bring Mark Henry into it, who isn't, and I know I'm probably harsh when saying this, but isn't really a credible talent on the roster anymore and hasn't really done anything relevant, like I've said in the past, in years. It doesn't really help Rusev get over at all. So, I agree with you. Randy, your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with you whenever you say that it's a complete waste of time to have Mark Henry come in, and I mean, like you said, he hasn't really brought anything to the table in a really long time, and the fact that they're using him for the USA thing is odd in my opinion because I mean they just had the Swagger angle, and I mean Swagger and his uh, feud with Rusev was going great, and I guess they just wanted to go somewhere else with it. But I find it very, very odd that they went with Mark Henry because, like you said, he hasn't done a whole lot since probably about, what, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I didn't really like the main event because, for one, Rusev does not really seem like he is main event status yet, even though it wasn't a match. It felt like they just were trying to fill the airtime after the Reigns and Rollins match, and I didn't get it at all.
Right, I definitely agree with you. I think it's just kind of like, well, we don't really know where to put this, so we'll try and make it the main event and see what happens. Don't agree with it at all. So, I mean, it's a pretty obvious no go here from all the rope breakers. So let's jump down to the beginning of Raw. We had Paul Heyman come out and do his usual taking jabs at Cena. And if you haven't seen it on RopeBreakWrestling.com, hours before Raw began, Paul Heyman went on his blog, HeymanHustle.com, and issued a statement to John Cena telling him there's no backing out. Brock Lesnar's coming in, and really saying that, and there was a strong point in there about Cena being a martyr. And, if you haven't seen that statement yet, go on RopeBreakWrestling.com. It's on the front page, and be sure to check it out. So, Paul Heyman comes out, and Cena, as always, quickly interrupts, saying that he wants to fight Brock Lesnar tonight. And Heyman kind of takes a jab at WWE and saying, well, me being a businessman, I would rather have people pay $9.99 to see it, but you want to give it away for free tonight. And to me, it was an obvious jab at WWE because they do this shit all the time, i.e. the Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns match. We have a pay-per-view on Sunday, and we're going to give you the pay-per-view match the Monday night before the pay-per-view. That doesn't help the build, and now you're giving away a pay-per-view match for free. So why the hell would anybody want to watch the pay-per-view if they just saw it for free on Monday night? So Heyman takes that obvious jab at the WWE, and then, I don't know, maybe you had a little heel moment from Cena saying, if Brock's not here, I'm going to kick your ass. And just the way he said it came off kind of heel-like. But it did lead to bigger things later in the night, and I liked how he took Heyman, around the neck, brought him backstage, threw him in the locker room, and then, trying to talk Punjab to Khali, telling him to stay in the room was a nice touch on that segment. And I really did like that side of Cena we saw in that segment, in his promo. And I feel like if Cena was like that more often, it would be so much better. He'd be so much better to watch, so much more entertaining to watch and to listen to. So those are my thoughts on it. I mean, Matt, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this segment. I loved how Heyman really sold. Uh, we say, I say this every week. We all say this every week how great Heyman is. Every time he gets on, I'm like really selling that fear of Cena. Um, and I agree with you. I really liked, you know, that side of Cena was like a darker side of him, more aggressive, more real, more authentic. Um, and yeah, I really enjoyed the segment. I thought they did it was a pretty decent way to open the show. I just wish they had ended the show with that segment. I think that would have been better. It would have made way more sense. You're going to start the show with your biggest draw, and then you'll end the show with your biggest draw. Just makes sense to me. Um, but yeah, Heyman, yeah, I agree with you. I think that was an obvious jab at the WWE, and more
Yeah.
specifically, I do think that was an obvious jab at the Roman Reigns Rollins match. Because knowing, Heyman's been doing this shit for years, he knows what he's doing, and yeah, I was definitely frustrated. Like you said, they do this shit all the time, so it was definitely frustrating. But yeah, I think they did what they were supposed to do. They got across to the crowd what they were supposed to get across. Um, they told a great story, and it was a great way to really continue building on this storyline. And if and the second segment, I don't know if you want to talk about that later. We'll just throw that in, right now to talk about the second part of that segment because it's a part one, part two of the same segment.
Right.
Did you want to just talk about that now?
I mean, we can jump to that later. We'll just go in order of the show because
Okay.
we'll just build towards it, unlike WWE and their builds. But anyway,
That's
before
fair.
we jump to Randy here, I want to mention some of the rope breakers here on YouTube weighing in, saying Kyle Cullihan saying Raw is rope break, and then Kyle Cullihan making a joke about the Dolph Ziggler match, saying when did Dolph Ziggler dye his hair and skin black? I don't know. Maybe over the weekend or before last week's SmackDown, I guess. Kyle Cullihan weighing in again. I like the slow build they are doing with Rusev. No need to rush into something and not find the right time to get him to the top. Look what happened to Alberto Del Rio when they pushed him to the moon. Kyle, I understand what you're saying, but I can't say I agree. I think it's time for Rusev to move on and do something new. Double A digital design and film production. I don't know what the hell is going on. Whatever that noise is. Weighing in other Double A known as Aussie, saying Rusev smashes Americans all the way until the Royal Rumble. Enter Kurt Angle. He eliminates the Russian, giving the USA hope and wrestling fans hope for a well-written storyline. Kyle Cullihan firing back. I think Kurt Angle should take some time off before he goes to the WWE. He's been wrestling like a machine since he's been in TNA. Besides a few injuries, he's been killing himself. Not a bad point, Kyle. The thing is, his contract is up the 21st of this month, and he did say in a recent interview that he has a company in mind he's going to. Don't know if it's going to be WWE. Don't know if it's going to be Global Force or if he's re-signing with TNA. But he did say that he won't be wrestling until January. So obviously, it could be there's a 90-day no-compete clause or whatever. But obviously, that he will be taking time off. So wherever Kurt Angle ends up, he will be in better shape than where he's at. So, Randy, I want to jump to you. Your thoughts on that opening segment?
I loved it. Flat out and simple, I loved it. Like you guys said, of course, Heyman dropping the promos as always, as a god at that sort of stuff. He's been doing it for years. Seeing that side of Cena as I guess you would call it heel if you want. I wouldn't really call it that because it's just a very serious side. Sure, they threw on some black shorts on him. I'm guessing that's Vince's version of heel Cena. But other than that, that was awesome having him take him to the back, putting him in the locker room, having the Great Khali guarding the door. that was completely awesome. The part where he was sitting there talking about Brock Lesnar coming out right at the beginning of it, he had Cena turn around and then he dropped the laugh. The only thing I could see was the Jared troll face on Paul Heyman. It cracked me up so much because I mean Heyman is not really that much of a jokester. I mean, whenever it comes to cutting a serious promo, and what in the hell is that noise? Oh my god.
I don't know.
But anyways, long story short, I absolutely loved it. I, I really don't have anything else to say about it other than the fact that it was awesome. Cena is god awful, as far as anything else goes, but tonight he really showed a side that a lot of fans do appreciate whenever it comes to seeing something like that. And I mean, I was sports entertained by that. I don't care what anybody says. That was awesome.
Oh, I definitely agree. It was a very entertaining opening segment for sure. Really set the tone for the whole show. And WWE then announced after that Rollins and Reigns was taking place later that night. And then after that, you had the Jericho versus Kane match. Um, it wasn't a bad match, and I know Matt and I were talking during the show, and we were kind of saying, Kane's awful. I mean, during like the first 2 minutes, he goes over the top rope, and it was it was the slowest going over the top rope I've ever seen. It was like you're gonna go over he's like, oh, Jericho says to Kane, you're okay over the top rope, and Kane just like slowly rolls over the top rope and then hits the ground. It was like, it was like a Looney Tunes, Wile E. Coyote falling off the cliff. It just, you're waiting for the impact to happen, and then it finally happens, and it was just lackluster. But like I said, it wasn't a bad match. Eventually, they did pick it up, but Kane was really slow and clumsy during that match, and there were a few botches. I don't know if you guys noticed this at one point, but there was a spot in the corner, and Jericho kind of went for a kick, and Kane sort of moved out. I don't know what happened there, but Jericho just ended up slipping. It was a really weird botch that happened. But other than that, it wasn't a bad match. Definitely put on a solid show. So, Randy, what do you think about that Kane versus Jericho match?
The whole thing behind the Kane slip up or the Jericho slip up. My honest opinion about it is, Kane is too fucking old to be wrestling anymore.
I definitely agree.
I mean, he's up there with the Undertaker. He might not be as old as the Undertaker is, but he, like you said, the slow movement and the momentum and everything, he just did not have it tonight. And setting him up with Jericho, of course, Jericho being known as the guy who puts most of the talent over, regardless if you've been there for 30 years or if you've been there for 2 months. Jericho is usually that kind of guy to get you over. But Kane really did not have it tonight like he usually does, and I think it's because of his age. And like you said, the slow over the top rope thing, it really bugged me because I mean it was, like you said, it was just god awful, man. It was slow, and I didn't see the slip up that you were talking about, but I could definitely see what you'd be coming from, like with that, by saying that you don't know what happened because I mean I obviously wasn't paying attention, so yeah,
Right.
the it just Kane is too fucking old to be wrestling anymore. If he wants to be corporate Kane, he needs to stay as corporate Kane. He doesn't need to be Kane anymore. He needs to stay in the suit and maybe come out and cut a promo every once in a while. That's it.
Yeah,
And
I definitely agree with you there. Kane needs to slow down or stop altogether. But Kyle Collahan thinks differently, saying, "I thought it was one of Kane's better matches recently." Kyle Collahan is a big Kane fan, so I mean that's his opinion. He's entitled to it. Matt, what do you think about that match?
Well, first, Kyle, of course you fucking do. Of course. Of course I was Kane. No, listen, Kane's old as dirt, as Randy already said. I like Kane, so don't get me wrong. I'm not a Kane hater, but it's at that point where he's not doing anything. He's kind of just, like last week's segment that they replayed like a million times on Raw this week. The main event was Roman Reigns. They didn't need him there. They could have easily got the segment done with just Randy and Rollins. He was really not necessary. He's literally just there. They're like, we have no idea what to do with this guy. You're shooting a movie for WWE Studios to just kind of throw him in the mix. That's literally what he's doing right now. I actually didn't notice any of those botches. There was one that I did notice, though, is when Jericho was on the top rope and he was jumping down some kind of, like, hammer fist type maneuver off the rope, and, like, Kane took the maneuver like a fucking board. It was just ridiculous. Like, first of all, Jericho didn't even hit him. And then Kane, like, was so delayed, it didn't even look good. But that's the story of Kane's recent run. Kyle, like Alex said, you are completely entitled to your opinion, buddy, but I'm here to tell you your opinion is absolutely wrong. In all seriousness, the match wasn't terrible, but I just felt like there were too many mistakes to really keep me interested. It kind of didn't do much for me. It was kind of like Jericho. This does nothing for either guy, really. I mean, they're building Jericho up to put Orton over on the section. But to me, a win over this Kane does nothing for Jericho. It really didn't mean anything to me. It's kind of a pointless. This is a match where you have a talent like Jericho, but you're putting him in a match that, to me, was a filler match. It really, I'd rather, I'm not even going to say I'd rather see Adam Rose, because that's not true, but it wasn't the best match. It was kind of a waste of Jericho, in my opinion.
I definitely don't disagree with you there. A waste of Jericho. I mean, you are kind of right. I mean, Orton didn't even come out to attack Jericho, which would have been at least some kind of build towards their match on Sunday. I mean, even though he did attack him last week, but it would have been nice to see some kind of altercation. But, that did not happen. And Kyle weighing in on Kane once again. I totally agree that Kane should retire. He's been one of my favorites since I was a kid, and I can tell it's time to put one in the back of the head of that old horse. Well, Kyle making a very strong statement about one of his childhood heroes, calling him an old horse, and that someone should shoot him in the back of the head. Listen, it only happens here on React After Raw. After the Jericho match, you had the backstage segment with Roman Reigns cutting a promo on Seth Rollins. Matt and I, we talked about this. It was a solid improvement from Reigns with his promo. He was very soft-spoken, but it came off as very deadly, and he had a better cadence this week. His promos weren't like they were in previous weeks, where it's like, I'm coming for Seth Rollins, I'm going to hit Randy Orton, I'm going to punch you in the face. It was a very solid, very intimidating promo from Reigns saying, I'm going to punch Seth Rollins until my knuckles bleed. Very strong statements from him in that promo, and I thoroughly enjoyed what he did in that, and I hope he continues on that trend of cutting more solid promos like he did tonight. I mean, Matt, what do you have to offer towards that?
I'm completely on board with everything you just said. It was a great improvement. I felt it was a little bit like you rushed his words a little bit throughout the promo, but it was definitely a great improvement. It kind of feels like to me like somebody in the back told him, hey, kid, your promos are a little bit slow, speed them up, so he kind of sped them up, but it went a little too fast. He needs to kind of find his middle ground. I think he kind of spit him out a little too quickly at certain points, but, I mean, from what he was doing, this promo felt more authentic, felt way more real than he has been, and that's huge. He needs that, because right now, his character has nothing for anybody to relate to. Nobody can relate to him because nobody knows who he is. You know, he comes out with a different type of promo like every week. He's got a different type of character every week. He's either like this ladies' man, like I said before, or this badass that, you know, talks in a really slow, weird cadence, and nobody, you know, can relate to him because nobody knows him. That's the biggest problem. And this promo, I feel, was a great improvement. Still not top notch, but definitely an improvement from what he's been doing. I believed him more in this promo. So yeah, I really enjoyed this promo out of Reigns. Hopefully you can continue on this path and you know, get better and better on the mic. Because he's got so much potential. I would really enjoy seeing him in the main event if his talent could get him there.
Right, I definitely agree with you there. I mean, his previous promos kind of were like Batista's promos where he's really struggling to figure out what to say, even though he has the script. So, if he does continue on this trend of improving these promos and really becoming a more relatable character, then he becomes believable as the future of the company. Randy, your thoughts on Reigns' promo tonight?
Like you guys said, I couldn't agree more with exactly what you said. Like I felt like they could like throw a little momentum bar, like how they did it with what was that pay-per-view? They replaced it, I think, with Battleground. What was that pay-per-view that was right there? It had the little momentum bar. I cannot think of it.
Over the Limit.
Thank you, Over the Limit. They could like throw that on there for his promos, and like tonight he cut a damn good promo. Like you said, it was a little rushed. Like he gave it like 75% his best, and it was really good. But like you said, like the previous promos that he's cut are like he will be ladies man one week, and then he will be a complete total badass the next week. My favorite promo by him is still, I think it was a couple weeks ago, whenever he said, whenever they were chanting Cena sucks while he was in the ring, and he was like, well, Roman Reigns is in the house, you damn right Cena sucks. That is still my all-time favorite promo by him. But I mean, other than that, really solid stuff coming from him tonight, and including the match that we're going to discuss later on. But I mean, that promo was like almost spot on, and I completely agree with the both of you on that.
Right, I definitely agree with the point you make with saying, you know, what he said a couple weeks ago, saying, yeah, Roman Reigns is in the house, you're damn right, Cena sucks. If he were to do more stuff like that to his character, it would be so much better to watch him. Those little one-off quips that, you know, almost reminded me of The Rock, where he kind of used to do those things that really got the crowd going. If he were to do that more, it would improve his character tenfold. Let's see here. We jump right into the Swagger versus Bo Dallas match. I'm gonna come out and say it was a good match. I'm not gonna lie, and I am the resident Bo Dallas hater here at Rope Break. I completely despise the guy. And it's not even that he's bad in the ring. I just don't. I don't like the character. I don't know. It just doesn't appeal to me. I don't know. It just doesn't appeal to me. But it was funny during the opening minutes of that match. Either Cole or JBL said, you know, Bo Dallas loves everybody, and King says, yeah, I'd love to punch him right in the face. And
yeah, that's awesome.
I started dying. It was like, you know, King used to be a good commentator, so now when he does little things like that, it still shows that, you know, maybe King has some potential somewhere. So that definitely gave me a small chuckle during that match. And like I said, it was a very solid and decent match all the way, especially like that Patriot lock in the corner of the ring on the turnbuckle. I thought that was a pretty cool spot. A lot of those false finishes were pretty nice to watch. And then obviously right at the end, that was, you know, not a bad finish. So definitely a good match from the both of them. I still don't like Bo Dallas. Uh, cry about it. Matt, your thoughts?
He is a
My thoughts.
believer.
My thoughts. I still believe. No, I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the match. And you just calm down over there. You just relax. Drink your drink and shut
Yeah.
your mouth. Um, no, I like the match. Yeah, I love Bo Dallas. I love the character. Because the character is stupid as hell, but I love it. Yeah, the match was. I thought they both did a pretty solid job. The only thing I didn't like, it kind of annoyed me a little bit, and it's typical Jack Swagger, is when he did a couple of those like power moves, like when he was getting his momentum back after getting beaten by Bo Dallas for so long, and he was like yelling. It's so unbelievable. Like,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
doesn't have a believable yell. It's like, are you shitting me? He's like, "Ah." I'm like, dude, stop. Just, just cut it out. It's not
It's like
believable. You don't look it
Luke
up.
Harper.
Yeah, exactly. You look like a moron. Stop.
Oh man.
I
Kyle
don't,
Cullen
don't
weighing in real quick, saying Bo leave. He's obviously on your side, Matt. So you have a fellow
Kyle,
rope breaker who likes Bo Dallas.
Kyle, did I ever tell you how much I like you, buddy? I like you because you believe. You believe. Um, I love the finish. Actually, I really love the finish. I thought that I think what was it, a schoolboy pin or something similar to that.
Hmm.
It was something like that. I forget exactly what the pin was, but then it was just like really, it was reversed into the Patriot lock.
Yep.
What I liked about it is it was a very smooth transition into that reversal. A lot of times when Swagger's in the ring, he effed something up, but he did that really smoothly with it, which I like. Um, you know, I've heard rumors that they're not really hot on Bo Dallas anymore. I still think he's got a lot of potential. I think he's great in the ring. I think he's got a lot of skill. And like you said, I love the player. I just I like when he comes out and he says stupid shit when he tries to give inspiration to the guys he just beat or comes out randomly and tries to give inspiration. I just find that hilarious. It's a pain in the neck, that promo with Daniel Bryan. That was hilarious. Um, yeah, I thought it was a good match. Yeah, I like I said before, I believe.
Well, Matt believes. Randy, do you believe?
That is a negative. I do not believe.
You
I
guys suck.
absolutely. I mean, I did it first. Don't get me wrong. I did it first. Whenever Bo Dallas did the whole whenever he was still like they were still like developing his character with whenever he did his debut in the Royal Rumble. I liked him then, and then I liked him whenever he first started doing the whole Bo Leave thing with the inspirational crap. But then, like as soon as the streak was broken by R-Truth, I gave up all faith. I gave up all faith. The I was the black guy from WrestleMania. I was like, they killed it. They killed the streak just like that. you know,
See,
um, God,
sorry,
man.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to say, as far as the streak goes, I think it was beneficial to end the streak because for me, the way I look at a streak or anything like that is a gimmick, and normally those are attached to babyface. He was over with the crowd, but they wanted to get him over as a heel. You don't want people cheering for the streak, when you're trying to make a bad guy. So I think the way that they went about it, him losing the streak and then turning on R-Truth like that, I thought was a perfect way to, really get him over as a heel. But they just haven't really been doing anything with him since that. We haven't seen any of those like tantrums that he throws. I think that'd be perfect. People like hate him because he's a crybaby. When he doesn't get his way, I think that'd be perfect. He throws a tantrum every time he loses a match. Like, he should have got up and stomped out, or like got on the microphone and like said some really like angry things that Jack Swagger Jack Swagger, you stink, or something, something like that. I think that would have been perfect. But it's your opinion. Continue. I apologize for interrupting. Continue.
No, you're fine, dude. You're fine. But the fact that you said that they did that roll up pin and then it smoothly transferred it, or I don't even know how you would say that. It like went.
Transition.
Yeah, thank you. Transitioned into the ankle lock. That was gorgeous. They did that perfectly.
Right.
It was very, very smooth considering it was with Jack Swagger. I mean, he is like up there in the king of botches whenever it comes to stuff like that. Um, I really, really like the fact that they got Jack Swagger over on that one because I mean, it would have been okay if Bo Dallas would have got the win, but Jack Swagger has been on an uphill momentum build, and I think that if he would have lost that match, it would have hurt him a little bit because I think you guys are right. I think that they are losing the feel for Bo Dallas, even though he is an awesome talent and he has plenty of potential to do a lot of things. He is just they're booking him terribly. They I mean his gimmick is horrible now because I like I'm sorry Matt, but I'm not a believer. I am not. Um,
That's okay. That's okay, Randy. You stink.
yes, I'm a pain in the neck, man. I am a pain in the neck, and Bo Dallas is a boner. Anyways, back to the original subject. Yeah, I do not like Bo Dallas at all, but I do like the fact that they got Jack Swagger over on that one. The the whole ankle lock transition thing that was fucking beautiful. That was awesome. I mean, other than that, I have nothing else to say about that. The ankle lock really sold me on that. That was awesome.
I
Well,
got
after that, you can see there's oh, you have to interject.
This wouldn't be a react after Raw.
Unbelievable. You know what? Yeah, you're right. It wouldn't. Go ahead.
It
Go
wouldn't
ahead.
be a react after
Take
Raw if I
over,
didn't
go ahead.
interject.
Take over the show. Go ahead.
All right. Settle down there, Cupcake. I apologize for.
You guys are killing me, man.
All right, so I just want to interject it. I was just going to quickly say that I think we could all give this match an A+ solely on the fact that Bo Dallas got out without being injured. So that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted to say. You can have your damn show back, all right?
And just to piggyback off that, obviously, if you guys don't get the reference, a couple of months back, Bad News Barrett was wrestling Jack Swagger in a match, and Jack Swagger fucked up, and Bad News Barrett had I believe it was a separated shoulder, and it is rumored that he's going to be cleared to return in November, so it'd be nice to see him come back and go after the Intercontinental title. Kyle Cohan continuing to weigh in over here on YouTube saying, I'm getting a Bolieve coffee mug. That's great. I hope it brings you a more positive day. And Kyle saying again, he's the heel who doesn't know he's a heel. I mean, Matt,
Yep.
I think you've said that in the past. I'm not sure, but obviously I don't disagree with that. I'm still not a believer. Quickly moving on here, we had the Divas match next, and I made a note on our Facebook page, or a status, I should say, saying, I hope this is a solid Divas tag match, and it was. You had Paige and Nikki teaming up on one team, and AJ and Brie teaming up on another, and there were a lot of little things in the match that I noticed, like when Paige was beating down on Brie. I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but I saw like Brie was kind of looking over at Nikki with that "Save me, help me" face. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I thought that was a cool little thing that she did that really added to their story. And then obviously the thing I love at the end, you have Paige skipping around the ring, and then you have AJ who kind of stands up like nothing happened before, and she's mimicking her, copying her as she's skipping around the ring, really adding to their rivalry there. It was a good solid match all the way around. And then you had Nikki attack Brie also, and adding to their feud. So really two solid Diva feuds going on right now, and I hope that we do see a Nikki and Brie match sometime in the near future. I know at Night of Champions it's the triple threat match for the title, but I would really like to see those two feuds separated. Just see Paige and AJ go off and continue their feud, and then have Nikki and Brie really start to go at it, have their own match, whether it be at whatever the upcoming pay-per-views are, Survivor Series, TLC, you know, those one of those pay-per-views or whatever the one is in October. I don't know what it is. So hopefully, what
Hell in a Cell?
is it? Hell in a Cell?
Yeah.
Yeah, all
I
right.
believe it is.
So hopefully they can have a feud at one of those upcoming pay-per-views. But as I said, very solid match from all four people. Definitely building up. Matt, your thoughts on that?
Well, I gotta tell you honestly, this match was a delight. I can't even begin to express the relief that I had watching this match. It was like a weight was lifted off of me. And that's because I took a piss break during this match. Not intentionally, but I really wasn't paying much attention to it. So I can't really give my opinion on what I thought about the match itself. But I can tell you what I've been saying on every React since SummerSlam, and that is that I don't like the fact that this is becoming a feud for Night of Champions. I don't like that this is including both Paige and AJ because Night of Champions, this is completely going to detract from this entire. When's the last time we didn't see anything really from Paige and AJ? I mean, we haven't seen a whole lot. It's been really, really the whole Divas division right now is based around this Brie and Nikki rivalry. Like I've said before, they don't have the likability yet or the in-ring talent to really hold up the Divas division. In the way that I view a main event storyline is a storyline that can hold up every other storyline. That's the main focus. And right now, Nikki and Brie, when you need Stephanie McMahon to step in, to help you out, this isn't a storyline that's made for the spotlight yet. And I just feel like at Night of Champions, it's a triple threat. It's a triple threat right now. So obviously, Brie is going to, interfere in some point, probably towards the end of the match, and then you're going to leave that match pretty much only remembering that, and you're probably going to forget about Paige and AJ. And in my opinion, that is an absolutely shitty way to book a diva champion. When they're overshadowed by when they're overshadowed by a storyline that's not even that great. The storyline is good, but it's boring. Nobody cares. And they're trying so hard to get this over, but at what cost? You're kind of leaving out Paige and AJ, who are your top wrestlers right now. And I just don't like this concept whatsoever. I would have rather seen Nikki and Brie on the pre-show, or even having. I know they're pressed for time, but I think this is something that I don't know. I just think right now the Divas champion takes precedence over this twin sister versus sister storyline. I think it's way more important right now. If Nikki had the title, then that would make more sense. And I gotta hope that doesn't happen. She's not ready for it. But I just feel like this is a waste of time, right? I just feel like they're not ready for this storyline. It's a wasted storyline because it could have been great had they been, more prepared. Had Nikki and Brie, been more adept on the mic and in the ring. So this would have been way more over with the crowd. But it's kind of just a wasted storyline.
Right, I definitely agree with what you're saying there. It definitely needs to be done a lot better. A lot more thought needs to go into these two feuds, and like you said, Paige and AJ really need to be the ones in the spotlight. Randy, I want to get your thoughts on that match.
Honestly, whenever I saw that it was coming on, I saw I think it was Nikki's music that hit, and I looked up because I was playing on my laptop on Facebook and everything, and I heard Nikki's music, and I was like, oh God, here we go again, And then I was actually paying attention to it, and it's honestly shocked me that they put on such a good match with all four divas being in the ring. Whenever you said that Nikki Bella isn't quite ready for the Divas Championship, I agree with you on that. But I want to go back. I want to take a flashback. I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2 years ago that Nikki Bella was actually the Divas champion, and they did the whole twin switcheroo, and Brie lost the title that night, and if they really wanted to, they should have started the Bella feud there and then been done with it years ago, because that right there was the perfect angle to do it, not the crap that we've been getting the past month. That's just my opinion on it, but I mean, it was a really, really solid match. I enjoyed it. I like the fact that they're giving Brie Bella kind of similar ring gear to Daniel Bryan to, I guess, kind of pay like a patronage to that, because Daniel Bryan's been off TV for quite some time now, and I really like the fact that they've been doing that with her. Like, they gave her his colors. That was really, really cool in my opinion. Not so much on the theme song though, but that's just me. But I mean, other than that, the match was solid, man. I really did enjoy it. It gave all four divas a chance to show off what they've got, and the WWE has been hurting in that department for the past month, and I really, really did enjoy it. I think it really helped them with that whole segment, with that whole area in the Divas division, because it was really solid. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
All right, I definitely agree with what you're saying there. Especially towards with Brie and kind of matching Daniel Bryan's gear. It's a nice nod to him because he's been absent since May. We're all, having our fingers crossed that he does return soon. They recently were on a press tour or something for Total Divas, and, Brie mentioned that Daniel doesn't need another surgery because he is regaining strength in that elbow. So, it's possible we could see him, make a big return at the Royal Rumble. I think that'd be the best place to do it, instead of having him come back on a Raw or TLC. I think a Royal Rumble return and really, really keep it under wraps would be the best way to bring Daniel Bryan back into the WWE and get him back in the storyline. And then after that, you had the Bray Wyatt promo. As always, Bray Wyatt is always a very good promo cutter. I've never really been disappointed in anything he has to say. Really, I saw a promo tonight saying, Goliath still walks Earth in the ways of death and disease. Where's your Goliath? And then he, transitions that into taking out the Big Show, and then the match happens. And it was surprisingly a very solid match from both guys, especially Big Show. I mean, really his athleticism since coming back from filming a movie for WW Studios has improved tenfold. He moves around the ring a lot smoother. He doesn't wear the giant knee pads anymore. He's just a lot more athletic in general. There was a report like 2 weeks ago where he did a sunset flip at a house show. Imagining a 7-foot, 425-pound guy doing a fucking sunset flip is phenomenal. So definitely great to see Big Show really moving around and looking healthy. I love how right when the match started off, Big Show throws him into the corner and Bray just starts laughing hysterically. I really love that. It really sells the feud between the two. And the crowd was really into that match, which was especially surprising for a Big Show match because, as we know, Big Show hasn't really been entertaining to watch. And then I made a sarcastic remark on our Facebook page, which sent up hellfire with plenty of the rope breakers saying, did Big Show debut a new finisher? Because, we usually see Big Show just do the choke slam and the WMD, and he did, I believe it was the final cut tonight. And I took a jab at that, and that really threw everybody into a hellstorm. Guess what? I don't give a shit. I'm fine with creating a controversy here. If you have a problem with me, that's fine. I obviously addressed that on our Facebook to Omar, Matt also fired in there as well as Randy. Like I said, I don't give a shit. I'm fine with creating controversy. If you don't like what I have to say, that's fine. You know where to find me. You can tweet us at Rope Break Wrestling. If you don't like what I have to say, what I'm writing, what I'm saying on here, you can comment right now and say, I don't give a shit. So anyway, as Omar said, fuck it. Matt, let's transition to you and your thoughts on
Oh,
Big Show and
oh my
Wyatt.
lord. Um, my thoughts on Big Show and White. I don't give a shit. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's curious to me. I'm wondering, what they're doing with this because they started this off as like a tag team between the Wyatts and Big Show and Mark Henry. Now Mark Henry's with Rusev, so Big Show kind of left, floating until like a big shit. No, I'm just kidding. Until Mark Henry comes back. Yeah, I don't know why I said that. That just popped into my head. No, I like Big Show. Kind of.
Kind of.
A little bit sometimes. When I guess when Mark Henry comes back, they'll form the tag team again. I'm not sure. So this is kind of confusing as this match has happened. I don't understand where it's coming from, other than that storyline that they never really followed through on, and then they did again, and then they didn't again. Now they're trying to make something out of it again, and I'm just confused. It wasn't a bad match at all. It was just, what are they doing with this? Are we going to see this at Night of Champions? Is it going to be a match for Hell in a Cell? If it is, I wouldn't mind this so much. As long as Wyatt goes over, there's no reason for Big Show to go over Wyatt. I don't expect that to happen, but knowing WWE, I'd be afraid if this match happens and there's a rivalry involved, then Wyatt needs to go over. I wouldn't mind Wyatt going over Big Show, having Big Show and Mark Henry reform, and then have Wyatt send his cronies in to attack him, and then Big Show and Mark Henry can go over those guys if they want. That'll kind of show that, Bray Wyatt is still the leader of this group. They haven't really, done anything with that in a long time. They kind of been separate for a while, so they need to kind of bring the team back together. But other than that, like I said, I guess my reaction is just confusion. I don't understand the point of it. I'm a little bit lost. There really is no basis for this match. If Wyatt would have won, then I'd say, all right, there's using this to put over Wyatt, but just kind of lost. I just don't understand. Wyatt did lose, right? Because I missed part of the match. Wyatt did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Wyatt did lose after Omar said Big Show hit the final cut.
I want to clear something up right now that people aren't understanding. The final cut is the fucking elbow. When he grabs him like this, and then he swings around with an elbow. The showstopper is with the leg. I don't know why people think that the choke slam is the showstopper, but I remember a while ago they were calling, and I believe somebody even said in 2K14 they call that move the showstopper. The leg drop the showstopper. That's the showstopper. The final cut is with the elbow, and then you have the choke slam, and then the weapon of mass destruction. So those are his moves. Get it ingrained in your head and write it down. No more arguing over this stupid shit. Nobody cares. I don't care enough about Big Show to continue arguing over it.
Just ask Omar, he knows. But Randy, I want to get your thoughts on that match.
First of all, whenever you mentioned that on Facebook, I was one of the ones that was like, he's being sarcastic, you fucking moron. But I mean, it was really, really nice seeing Big Show up to really good health. I mean, it looks like he's losing weight. Because you guys said that he's not using the knee braces anymore, and that's awesome because, like, the Big Show that was at WrestleMania whenever he fought Cody Rhodes for the IC title is not the same Big Show that we saw tonight. He is losing weight, and I mean, I think they dropped him down to what, 485? I think they said it was tonight.
425.
425?
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, yeah, he was really, really good. He looked really good in the ring tonight. The spot where they had Wyatt, he ran into him, or he was trying to perform like a clothesline or something. I guess, and it knocked the Big Show on his ass. I died laughing. I couldn't help myself. I died laughing. That was hilarious. It really was, in my opinion. I mean, the fact that they ended the match in a no DQ was terrible. Because I mean, it really wasn't fit for Eric Rowan and Luke Harper to go in there and interfere in that stuff in that fucking match. Because I honestly think that the Big Show, if he wanted to put Wyatt over, he would have. But I mean, what does the Big Show have left to prove? He's done it all. He's been there a lot longer than a lot of the other superstars, and he's still performing better than Kane. You know, and I think they're around the same age too. So he's still doing really, really well in that department. The biggest shocker, in my opinion, was whenever Bray Wyatt knocked him over on his ass. Like I said, I died. I could not help myself. It was awesome and it was funny at the same time because it was the last time I saw that happen to the Big Show was against Ryback, I think it was, and every single time I see the Big Show just get clothesline like that, he just gets dropped on his ass and you see the ring like it wants to break in half. I laugh my ass off every time because it's funny. It really is. But I mean, other than that, I didn't like the fact that they ended it in a no DQ match. I think that either Bray Wyatt or the Big Show, regardless whoever got over, I think that if they would have had a pretty good ending to that, you know, like somebody getting over cleanly, it would have been a lot better. But of course, you know, Raw Monday, the WWE creative team cannot go one single Raw without having at least one disqualification match. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
you know, but I mean, that's all I really have to say about it. It was really, it was entertaining up until they ended it in a no DQ.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying there. You know, Kyle weighing in quickly. He hit the final cut tonight. I'm not going to say anything more on that. But, you know, we're going to move on
Let's clear
here.
this up right now. Let's clear this shit up right now. Did he drop the leg, or did he drop an elbow?
No, he dropped the elbow. He hit the final cut.
Okay, that's the final cut. Then yes, he dropped the final cut.
Yes, he hit the final cut, but the point, you know, that I was making sarcastically on Facebook was that, you know, he doesn't really do those moves anymore.
Right.
So that was the point I was making. Obviously, obviously Omar, the encyclopedia of 1,004 finishers, had better knowledge than all of us. So props to you, buddy.
David Omar. No,
Oh my
fuck it.
God.
But you know, quickly moving on here. The next match was Usos and Sheamus versus Cesaro and Goldust and Stardust, Golden Stardust, whatever the fuck you want to call them. I really don't care. I'll be honest. I didn't watch the match. I don't care for Sheamus. Cesaro has been put out to pasture in recent weeks. And really, this was just another shitty way of WWE giving matches away for free that are supposed to be on the pay-per-view, because you have Sheamus and Cesaro fighting on Sunday, and you have the Usos and Golden Stardust fighting on Sunday. Oh, so let's have a brilliant idea. We're going to put them in a tag match together, and guess what? Now you don't have to watch Sunday because you just saw it happen here. Like I said, I didn't really watch the match. I kind of looked away, and then when the match was over, I looked back up and said, oh, it's over! And I was so happy. So obviously, Matt, I'll let you give your thoughts on that because I really don't have it.
Yeah, you didn't really miss much. I started crying my eyes out when Cesaro's music hits because it's just so painful to listen to. It is absolutely like the worst theme song I think they've ever made. I'm sure I could find worse, but it's pretty fucking horrible. I think we say this every single react.
Yeah, we do.
God awful. Those sirens are horrible. See, you know, I think I'd be able to deal with it slightly if the sirens cut out before his actual music starts. They bleed into his music and it just is weird. Then he comes out with a fucking towel on his head like he came from what, 05 05, 06,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
And then his
the match
goofy
is kind
Hugh Hefner bathrobe.
yes, exactly. He smells a fucking like tobacco pipe. The match wasn't great. Wasn't. I'm just confused with what they're trying to do. I hope it would be okay with me if Stardust and Goldust lost to the Usos and then turned on each other at Night of Champions. That's what I want to see happen. That would make this entire thing worthwhile. Like Cody Rhodes turned on Goldust and wiped the makeup off because he would be the only one who could turn on his brother. It would be kind of weird for Goldust to turn on Stardust. Stardust could, I don't know if it was you or Aussie or Randy, somebody mentioned he could wipe off the makeup and be like, I never wanted to wear this stupid shit to begin with. I did it for you, blah, blah. So, that's the only thing that would make this worthwhile. I hate the Stardust gimmick. And hate Sheamus. And the Usos have held tag titles for far too long, and it is about time that the Ascension make their money Raw and take those titles away from them. They don't have the titles anymore. You missed TakeOver, you missed the hell of a pay-per-view. That was fucking awesome. Go watch TakeOver 2. It was awesome. That's wrestling right there.
And a quick note about the Ascension. A lot of people were upset that Hideo Itami, formerly known as Kenta, basically buried them at NXT TakeOver Fatal 4-Way. He didn't bury them. They lost the titles. They made their, I guess, their main roster debut at Main Event last week, I think it was. I don't know. This week, I don't know when the fuck it was. I don't watch Main Event, but
yeah,
he didn't bury them at all. So obviously, it was just a very stupid statement on the members there of the IWC saying that they were buried because of that segment. I think it was a beautiful way to introduce Hideo Itami to the WWE and really show how strong of a character he is going to be. But that's enough of that. Randy, I want to get your thoughts on that Uso clusterfuck.
First of all, I just want to say for the record, the Stardust character, I don't even know anymore. I don't even know anymore. Jesus Christ. I mean, whenever Cody Rhodes first debuted as Stardust, I was like, okay, they're gonna make a complete fucking laughingstock out of him. Just like they did, shit, I can't remember his name anymore, but they made a laughingstock out of Cody Rhodes yet again. And what gets me about this whole thing with the Dust Brothers still dressing up in the paint, if I'm not mistaken, whenever Cody Rhodes was fired, they did a backstage segment to where he was talking about how he was tired of the WWE always throwing them around and treating them like they're nothing, and the fact that they're throwing Goldust in the paint for so long, and he was tired of it, and then a couple months later he debuts in the fucking paint, and I'm like, what the hell just happened there? Because they could have done something so much different. They could have had them come out as just the Dust Brothers. That would have been way more entertaining. Stardust is... I don't even want to see him whenever he is on my television. That was a complete waste of TV time, in my opinion. They could have just done, 1 versus 1, or they could have done, a Cesaro versus Sheamus for the 30,000th time, or they could have just done one of the Dust Brothers versus one of the Usos, or they could have done an Uso versus Sheamus or something. But I mean, I just didn't understand the match to begin with, and the fact that Cesaro hit the neutralizer. I mean, he hasn't done the Cesaro swing in quite some time, and I don't know why they haven't let him do it. Either that or
Uh,
he's just I
just to
don't.
not to interrupt you or interject here, but the reason why he hasn't done the Cesaro swing in a while, and this is might give you a stroke, but creative told him to stop doing it because it got too over with the crowd.
I want to throw my laptop at the wall now.
That is why he has stopped doing the Cesaro swing, because creative told him to stop because it was too over with the crowd.
God
Uh,
forbid.
yeah.
Well, they're trying to
So,
push him. They're trying to push him as a heel, though, so that makes sense. Why would you want somebody over with the crowd
but
positively
it just
if you're a heel?
it's just stupid. Like,
They need to get with the times. I mean, people are gonna cheer a heel if they're a heel. I mean, it's gonna happen. I've seen it happen for months and months and months now, since about 2011. If people want to cheer heels, they're gonna cheer heels. If they want to boo faces, they're gonna boo faces. It's the 21st fucking century. They need to get a grip on this kind of shit. If Cesaro wants to get over with the crowd, I say let him, regardless if he's a heel or not, because it was awesome seeing him do that, and the fact that they just completely cut it out is crap, completely crap. And I mean, I don't even want to talk about the Dust Brothers anymore because I don't want to see them at all ever again. What's the eyebrow for? What's that all about? Come on, just hit me with it. Come on, come
Um,
on. You're
I'm just
drinking the
not
tea
finding.
like Kermit the Frog. Like that's none of my business, though. You know.
That's none of my business. Uh, uh, I just don't see a problem with them telling him not to use the swing. I mean, I know what you're saying, but when you're a heel, yeah, like you said, people are gonna cheer and boo who they want, but don't give them a reason to cheer you. When he does a swing, it's a really baby-faced maneuver that's telling the crowd this guy's a good guy. Cheer for him because he's doing something that the crowd wants. When you're a heel, you don't want to do what the crowd wants you to do. That's completely. I mean, whether they cheer you or not, if they're gonna cheer you, don't. I mean, let them do it on their own. Don't give them a reason to do it.
Oh, okay, I get you. I get
right.
you.
That's kind of that was the eyebrow. So I have no problem.
I
with
know.
telling them not to
I
do
know who can. I know who can save all this. Batman can save all this. Okay,
Batman. I forgot my mask. Fuck.
Batman will save all this. After rambling on about that awful match for so long, that brings us to the biggest segment of the night, and that is John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman. Definitely, improved from the first segment. Really built off of that first segment. You had Cena go in and grab Heyman out of Cena's own locker room, grab him by the head, drag him out, and really throw him in the ring. And one thing I noticed is during that first segment when you had Paul Heyman say Brock Lesnar, the crowd booed. But as Cena and Heyman are coming out to the ring, you hear "We want Lesnar" chants. And I don't. It kind of speaks volumes to the difference in characters in the storyline, where they'll boo Paul Heyman if he says Brock Lesnar, but if Brock Lesnar comes out, they cheer for him. They want him to come out, and I think that was just kind of a neat little thing that happened. And then you have Paul Heyman trying to goad Cena to hit me, hit me. You want to hit me, but you can't hit me because you're raised on hustle, loyalty, and respect. And Cena's standing there staring him in the face, and you have the crowd in a raucous yes, 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 really wanting Cena to give in, and Cena says no, and then the crowd just completely does a 180 and turns on him and just boos the hell out of him. And I thought that was a great moment. And then obviously you have Cena push Heyman out of the ring. Brock comes out, and I really loved how Brock kind of toyed with Cena as he came out, really walking around the ring, circling his prey. I thought that was another neat little thing that they did. And Matt, I know you and I talked about this during the show. John Cena just ruined that whole segment with that beatdown. I mean, I know I mentioned to you that he just put no effort into those punches whatsoever. I mean, usually you see other beatdowns like that, and the guys are really wailing and going at it and really making it look believable. And you have John Cena just going, I'm gonna hit you, Brock. Yeah. I mean, that's really what he was doing, and it really made that whole segment become disillusioned. And I mean, it didn't really bring down the build, but it just didn't add to it. It made it look bad. Um, so we'll see what happens at Night of Champions. Hopefully that shit doesn't happen. They really need to go at it at Night of Champions. So Matt, with that being said, I'd like to get your thoughts on that segment.
Yeah, like everything you just said, I agree with. I just feel like the announce team did a better job at selling Cena's part than he did. I mean, he kind of, the build up from the first segment was great, and then they continued building and building into this segment. Did a great job. I thought, I was really impressed with where it went. When they announced that this was going to happen last week, my initial reaction was, this is so predictable. Heyman's going to goat him out. He's going to get out there into the ring. Heyman's going to pretend like he's not there, and then out of nowhere, Brock Lesnar is going to come out and beat the shit out of Cena, and then it's going to be over. But the fact that they made this a two-part segment, and then in the second part, it was really impressive the way that they built this. Whoever wrote this storyline did a pretty decent job. They're really using Heyman as a way to kind of bring that that hatred out of Cena, and the fact that he kind of pretty much told him you have to turn heel in order to beat me, and you're not going to hit me because then you be everything that you fight against. You'd be a bully. You don't want to be a bully. And then at the end he makes that remark about his mother, which was hilarious. And
Yeah.
and then Cena shoves him, and right away, I mean, I don't think he's ever turned heel, but it makes me wonder, are we going to see a darker Cena after Night of Champions? Because it's kind of like if you hit me, then you turn into what? You turn into a beast if you hit me, and then he hit him, pretty much saying you turn heel if you're going to hit me. I don't think he's turning heel, but it's kind of that gist of we might see something different out of Cena, hopefully. But I thought the segment was done really well. Lesnar then comes out after that fact, like you said, circles the ring like a shark circling his prey. Face leaving twice, getting the crowd all wild up. Perfect job as a heel. Did a beautiful job with that. And then he gets in the ring and does that awesome suplex to Cena. And part of me almost wishes if they just left it at that. But I think at the end I do want to see a more back and forth battle from them. I think it'd be a much more believable victory from Lesnar the second time around. To have Lesnar go over somebody who he's struggling to fight, overcome Cena. But yeah, Cena's whole part in that segment, as far as the physical aspect, just really lackluster. He jumped out of the ring and throws him into the corner, but it was really weak. I think Lesnar tried to sell that the best he could. It didn't even look like Cena was throwing. It just didn't look good. He threw him into the corner, the post into the corner, and that looked terrible. He completely missed his mark. Like you said, weak punches. He couldn't even get Lesnar down. And part of me is wondering if Cena was actually legitimately shooken up by that German suplex, because when he landed, it did land really hard, and I saw Cena grab his back, it almost didn't feel like he was selling the move. I really felt like he might have, and there's been rumors that he does have nagging injury, so I'm wondering if him, he is known for working through major injuries, so I'm wondering if he hurt himself or got hurt from that suplex, and that was the cause of his lackluster performance. Because it's normally Cena, if he's gonna go all out, he's gonna go all out. He's not gonna just half-ass a segment like that. He normally wouldn't do that. Like him or hate him, he is a workhorse and would try to do the best he can. So that's the only thing I could think of, is that maybe he legitimately got some sort of injury, or the wind got knocked out of him, or something like that from that suplex. This is a vicious suplex by Lesnar. But you know, I mean, I was annoyed by that a little bit, but I'll look over as far as the overall part one and part two of that segment were really well done. And I am interested to watch this match. I'm really interested to see it. I think it's going to be, coming from where we were before, we're like, oh shit, another rematch. This is ridiculous. I don't want to see this crap. But they're building it pretty well. I think Heyman's doing a hell of a job. So I'm interested in seeing this match, and I thought the segment this week did a really great job of building for Atlantic Championship Sunday.
Right, I definitely agree with you. Like you said, we weren't really looking forward to this because, oh, it's another rematch, but now, because of the solid build that they put on it, thanks to Paul Heyman and John Cena really cutting solid promos the past couple weeks, and that quick video package from Brock Lesnar shortly after SummerSlam really sold this rematch well. And Randy, I want to get your quick thoughts on this segment.
It was really, really awesome considering the fact that, like you guys said, that they had Lesnar come out, and then walk around the ring like, oh, I'm here to get Paul, and then I'm gonna walk off, and then they had him like stalking Cena, like as if he was going to, just attack him at any angle. But the only thing that I did not like about that segment was the fact that Lesnar is. I understand that he's just there for the money, and Cena is there because that's his life. That's what he does. But I do not like Lesnar being there just to fill that spot with Cena because I understand that they're trying to build up for that fight at Night of Champions, but then again, I also do not like the fact that they just handed the title to Brock Lesnar just like it was like, oh, okay, you're back, here you go. You beat The Undertaker, you ended his career at WrestleMania, here you go. I really wish that they would have just done something different than that. I mean, it was awesome hearing his music because I do like Brock Lesnar to a certain aspect of him because I like the fact that he can just get in there and just beat the living shit out of anybody he faces up against. And I know that I do realize the fact that that at SummerSlam, whenever they had Lesnar fight Cena and then he just completely manhandled Cena, I get the fact that they wanted to show that Lesnar was this big beast badass and he was, that was his territory and everything because he ended the streak. But I would honestly like to see Cena show a little bit more of spine in this next match at Night of Champions because him just manhandling Cena was not entertaining to me at all at Night of Champions. I'm going into the future here. At SummerSlam, whenever he did that to Cena, I get the fact that they wanted to show that Lesnar was a definite beast, but I mean, other than that, I hope that they do work Cena in a little bit better, like they did tonight, because I get the fact that you're saying, Cena was like, oh, I'm gonna hit you, and then I'm gonna make it look like it hurts, but not really, and then I could have swore that they were sitting there whispering to each other while they were in that tumble on the ground, like he was like, you're supposed to do this or you're supposed to do that, and don't throw me into the steel steps because that's my weak spot. And I hope that they really do show Cena as to be better than what they did at SummerSlam because he really, really needs to show that. Because if they just show the fact that Lesnar is just going to manhandle him again, then that means that Lesnar is just going to hold the title until he's tired of it and he just decides to hand it down to somebody else because he doesn't want to fucking be there anymore. Because that's what he's there for. He's there for the money. He doesn't give a shit about anything else. And going back to the part where I was like, I don't understand why he's even champion right now. But I mean, it's just, that's just how I feel about it. I mean, I really, really want to see Cena come out and put up a fight instead of just have him just puss out like he did at SummerSlam, you know. But I mean, other than that, I mean, it was really entertaining to me. The whole segment tonight was really entertaining. I really enjoyed it.
Right. I get what you're saying. I can't say I agree with you on all of that. I definitely disagree with the point of Brock Lesnar of you saying you don't want him as champion. He's only there for the money, blah. Everything that you said. I definitely disagree with that. Matt Aussie and I really debated about this for a long time. Really, does Brock Lesnar deserve to be the champion? Did Brock Lesnar deserve to end the streak? I mean, we really debated that over and over and over again. And it was really part of the build of building Brock Lesnar as an unstoppable force. First he ends the streak, then he goes and destroys John Cena at SummerSlam. Now there's the rematch. Obviously, I do agree with them really having a back and forth slobber knocker, and I think that's what does need to happen. And I did mention that in an article today on RopeBreakWrestling.com, in regards to that championship match, because the rumor, unfortunately, to that match is that the possibility of Cena winning the title on Sunday is real. It is something that is being discussed backstage, and it is in play. And, I really suspect that's the work of Vince, saying, in recent weeks, he's told the creative team, look, you have to book Cena strong because we can't have him look weak for whatever reason. And one thing I wanted to point out, after I posted that article on our Facebook page, one of the rope breakers weighed in with a really strong statement towards that match, Vince McMahon in general. And Elliot Hodges weighs in and says, if this were to happen, it without a doubt proves that Vince has no concept of change anymore and that Triple H is the only one with any kind of vision. Usually, I'm the one to stick up for the WWE in the midst of so much smart anger, but if Cena wins against Lesnar, that smart anger will increase tenfold, and it will just be too irritating to see. A combination of a product so close to change but held back by a useless old man stuck in the past and an overly negative fan base who will turn on someone the second they become popular. How exactly did Daniel Bryan deserve any kind of hate? This isn't the kind of blind smart rage that permeates these pages' comment section. It's legitimate concern for a product that was close to something new, but things like injuries, not their fault, lopsided booking, their fault, and other factors kept it from achieving this change. Very strong segment there about that, and I definitely agree. Like they said, Vince really doesn't have any idea what to do with the product anymore. And there was a rumor a few months ago that John Cena called him out backstage and said, look, you have no idea what you're doing anymore. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on Sunday with that match. And that brings us to Cameron versus Naomi. Can we say botch fest? Cameron is just fucking pitiful. I feel so bad for her because she tries so hard and she just keeps ruining everything she's trying to work towards, especially with her hitting her signature, her finisher, whatever the hell it was, and Naomi's laying on her stomach, and you have Cameron yelling, count it, ref, count it, ref. And as I pointed out on our Facebook, she's got to be on her back in order for the pin to happen. So that was just sad to watch, and she's just going to continue to have the people backstage lose faith in her. So Matt, I want to get your thoughts on that botch fest.
Well, I have to honestly say, first and foremost, that they still put Eva Marie out there, so they probably will make Cameron the Diva champion after Night of Champions. But I definitely have to say that I cannot give my opinion on this because I really I really walked away from this match. I didn't watch it, wanted nothing to do with it. Actually, I do have to say one thing though. My first reaction when I saw it, I saw it coming on, and I'm like, wait a minute. this rivalry is still happening. Wait, when?
Yeah,
When?
right.
I thought they gave up on this a long time ago. Why are they all of a sudden throwing this back? I haven't seen them together in a match in forever. Why all of a sudden are you throwing them? It's just confusing. It's terrible booking. Again, shitty booking. Confusing. Just like the Big Show Bray Wyatt match, I was left confused, and then I walked away. So I can't even give you an opinion. Other than, I like Naomi. I think she's extremely talented. And I want to see her in the main title picture really, really soon. Her, Paige, and AJ are like the three most talented right now on the main roster.
I agree.
So hopefully she can make her move up and get away from Cameron sometime soon. But other than that, that's really all I can say, and I think that was the shortest amount of time I've ever taken up on this show. Randy.
All right.
Randy, back to you.
Randy, you got anything you want to add to that?
I honestly think that entire thing was just to get over the outfits that they were wearing, because I mean that was like the most that was the only thing that was entertaining about that match was the outfits that they were wearing. I mean, like you said, it was a complete botch fest. And whenever you posted that on Facebook about her being laid on her back, I was like, oh my, because it was I mean, you could sit there and totally tell that they I feel bad for them, because I can tell why she's going back to NXT, because she needs some more development, because they did not put on a very good show. I think that was mainly to get over on the outfits, because I mean the outfits were like the only thing that I was paying attention to in that entire match. So, I mean, other than that, it was completely terrible. Completely terrible. It was like the worst part of the whole show that tonight, in my opinion.
I mean, I agree with you there. It just wasn't good to watch. Definitely the best part of that was Naomi hitting that submission at the end. I mean, that was surprising, and I really like that. I mean, I'm not sure what they're gonna call it. Hopefully, it's not something awful like shell shock. But that brings us to Dolph and R. Ziggler versus The Miz and Damien Mizdow. Once again, a very solid match on the show. They both did a great job. Definitely love the back and forth. And the odd pairing of Dolph Ziggler and R-Truth, I don't know, it works. It just works. I like how they do the double moves and copy each other. So I think it worked. It's going to be a great feud in the long run. And it would be kind of cool to see maybe Dolph Ziggler and R-Truth have a feud down the road for the IC title. Just something to really, just kind of something funny to watch, something fun to see with that. I don't know. They just have good chemistry as a team, and I think they'd have good chemistry in a feud together. Matt, you got anything you want to say about that?
I mean, not really. More of the same, the same stuff. I really enjoy the Miz. I said this every single week on React. I really, really enjoy the Miz character. And I actually like the position that Damien Sandow's in. It's not the most ideal situation. I think he's, extremely talented. He was really doing awesome when he was the Money in the Bank, and he was going for the heavyweight championship, and they were really kind of pushing him. He was getting more aggressive. I really enjoyed what they were doing with him. And then they kind of dropped him, and we weren't seeing him on TV. He was doing a couple of those, gimmick matches where he dressed up as a superstar, which got him a few laughs. But I think this is keeping him more in the spotlight. And like you said, this could easily transition into a rivalry between him and The Miz, him and Ziggler down the road. So they could use this as a chance to get him in the Intercontinental title picture.
Right.
So it's not a lost cause right now for Sandow. He could easily break out of this. He could say, I used you to get to this spot because I'm smarter than you. So anything can happen. But I love the Miz's gimmick. I love that Damien Sandow, is dressing up like the Miz. He's coming out as the Miz's stunt double. I like all of it. I think it's bringing some really positive attention to the IC title, which has really, really been, in the past years, really been becoming a paperweight. So, I'm glad they're finally getting a little bit of positive recognition for that strap. It's really much needed. That's really all I can say. I keep reiterating that point every week, but I love it. Love it. I
All
love
right.
it, Michael.
All right, I definitely agree with what you're saying. There's a lot of good stuff going on with all those guys right now. Randy, do you want to add anything to what Matt said?
The fact that they went with R-Truth for Dolph Ziggler stunt double, that was a really good choice in my opinion because they have him in Ziggler's gear. They have him doing the little wiggle that Ziggler does in his entrance. That was awesome. I couldn't fucking believe how good he pulled that off. Uh, the I understand where they were coming from whenever they said that whenever they had the Miz and Sandow thing, they really had to get Dolph Ziggler I guess you could call it his stunt double as well. Even though Ziggler isn't really uh, doing a whole lot of movies or anything right now, so I don't know if they're trying to pull that off as his stunt double, but R-Truth and Dolph Ziggler, they're working it out better than Damian Sandow and The Miz, in my opinion. Like, it's like I was more paying attention to the commentary during that match than anything because they were like, we can't tell the difference, and I'm like, y'all are fucking idiots. Like, how bad do you have to sell this to make it look legit? Dolph Ziggler and R Ziggler were making it look totally awesome. I really am happy with the fact that they went with R-Truth because I think a week it's like 4 or 5 days ago I saw it on the Rope Break website that you guys were saying that that Dolph Ziggler was going to have a new tag team partner in the distant future, and I mean whenever I saw the picture of him and R-Truth together, I was like, oh, they're gonna keep him in the mid card area. They're just gonna kind of drop it down a little bit further and a little bit further every week. And I mean, not tonight. I was really impressed with it. The entrance, the back and forth with the doing the same moves, and then whenever they beat them, having the angle show where Miz and Sandow were both on the ground and they both had their head positioned in the exact same way. That was cool. I really thought that was cool. But I mean, other than that, the only thing that I like about that is the fact that R-Truth is pulling it off as that well because the wiggle and then him looking like a black Dolph Ziggler is fucking cool. He really does pull that off, in my opinion. He pulls it off better than Sandow as Mrs. Stunt Double. That's just how I feel about it. I'm really glad that they went with that angle. With him as Dolph Ziggler's buddy. That's cool as fuck.
Right, I agree with you there. It's definitely a cool thing to see. It definitely works well with those two together. And that brings us to the last topic on our show here tonight, the Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. Before that match, you had Seth Rollins with Renee Young cutting a promo. Seth Rollins never really fails to cut a bad promo. Definitely did a good job tonight saying, I'm the reason why Roman Reigns has everything he has, and I'm going to be the one who takes it away. And then really the part I loved was where he was making fun of Reigns. The reason why only reason he's gonna beat me with his knuckles is because he walks on him, and he really got into it, made fun of him that way, and then comparing him to a rhinoceros, saying, rhinoceroses are strong animals, but they're also not that smart. So definitely a good promo from them. And then the match, as we stated earlier, doesn't make sense why they decided to have a match on Raw, and then they're only going to have it again at the pay-per-view. So you gave the match away for free instead of saving it for the pay-per-view. And now, after that match, I mean, the big question is, how do they top it on Sunday after that big match? A lot of good spots. You had a lot of false finishes. You had that one spot where Reigns throws Rollins across the table and slams his head into the barrier. I mean, it was great to see. And then you had, Reigns doing that thing where he does the kick on the outside and Rollins dodges it. That was nice to see. And just everything they did in the match was on point. It was a very fluid match to watch. I was thoroughly entertained. But like I stated on the Facebook page, how do you top it on Sunday? I mean, obviously everyone replied, "Oh, Ambrose returns." Well, yeah, no shit, Ambrose returns. We all know that he's planning on returning. The company's planning on bringing him back. But the point is, how do they do a better job? And that's the thing that irks me is you give away this match for free. They put on a good match. How are they going to make it better on Sunday without Ambrose interfering? So that's the big question, and I'm really going to be interested to see how it plays out on Sunday with them two fighting, and then Ambrose, returning and interfering. So we'll see, Matt. I want to get your thoughts on that match and that segment.
The match, like you said, was very fluid. Awesome spots. I mean, these two really put on a hell of a show. And I agree with you. We were talking about this before, and I was really, really annoyed, that they would be giving away this match for free. It really took away from it. To me, it didn't make any sense. You're kind of ruining it, especially because Reigns, went over so cleanly. Didn't make any sense. It's like, now what's the point of watching it on Sunday since we just already saw the outcome?
Right.
Obviously, I think that what's going to happen, and I've been giving it some thought. And honestly, what I think, and the reason it was done, is to kind of save face with Roman. I think that because Ambrose is returning, and I'm almost positive, the rumors are he's returning on that Monday. He's booked for that Raw, but he was also being advertised for Night of Champions on Sunday, and then WWE, or they removed the advertisement, and I'm assuming that was because WWE stepped in and told them to remove it. So we'll most likely get to see him at Night of Champions. But, and I think that was the reason for this match. Roman Reigns beats Seth Rollins, and then at Night of Champions, Dean Ambrose comes out and interferes in the match. And even if Roman Reigns wins, he doesn't really win. It's kind of a loss. So at the end of the day, they can continue on the Ambrose Rollins feud, and you can still say Roman Reigns got a victory over Rollins. I don't think it's going to be, it'll be a great match, but there's not going to be a decisive finish. And I think because they're building up Roman Reigns, they want to have at least one decisive finish, so that way fans aren't left gypped, and that way they can kind of transition out of the Roman Reigns Rollins feud and back into the Ambrose Rollins feud. So that's the only thing I could think of. It's a little bit annoying that it was a clean victory. Kind of, makes me not really care as much about this match because I've already seen it once. And I feel like if they had, it was kind of unnecessary. I think if they had built this up properly, they wouldn't have needed that. But it's understandable if they're doing it to save face, like I said, with Roman Reigns, because if he doesn't get a clean victory this weekend, then it's going to leave a lot of questions. Can he actually beat Rollins? And now that we already know that he can, we don't need to know that on Sunday. So that way, an interference by Ambrose isn't going to make that big of a deal as far as the finish of the match. They'll be more interested in what's going to happen after. They're not going to really care if Roman Reigns can beat Seth Rollins, because we already know he can. That's pretty much my little spiel on that. Frustrated, but the more that I think about it, the more it kind of makes sense of why they would do that. And that's about it.
All right. I definitely agree with you in what you're saying. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with that match on Sunday with Ambrose's return. Randy, I want to get your thoughts on that match.
They did an awesome job, in my opinion. I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how they're going to top that, because that was very, very solid. The fact that Reigns got over cleanly really confused me. I honestly expected Kane or Randy Orton to come out. I was freaking out. I was like, what just happened? Why did he get over clean, because if they're gonna have the big match at Night of Champions, they should have interfere. They should have had somebody interfere. I mean, of course, if they would have, we would have been like, oh, blah blah blah, they interfered. This is bullshit. Crap here, crap there. But I mean, it was honestly crap that they had him come over clean. I mean, it didn't make any sense. I mean, I enjoyed seeing him come over clean. It was awesome because, I mean, Roman Reigns I mean, he beat him cleanly, and it was a shock because I honestly expected them to have somebody interfere in the match. I mean, and then going back to the whole thing where Rollins says that he built Reigns up and then he can take that away from him. If I'm not mistaken, Seth Rollins was the very first one in the Shield to lose a match to begin with. Am I wrong? Seth Rollins was the very first person to lose a match whenever the Shield was still together. And then I think Roman Reigns was the last person to lose. It took 3 guys to take him down. It took the Usos and somebody else to take Roman Reigns down. And, I mean, like I said, I just don't understand what they went with it, why they went with a clean win, because it's going to be very, very hard to top that match at Night of Champions. Even if Ambrose comes back, it'll be badass to hear his theme song whenever, if Seth Rollins beats Reigns, it'll be badass to hear his theme song go off because they're building up for the anticipation for that. I get that. It really did not make sense. I was expecting interference in that match.
Right, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I was too expecting interference. I thought, someone's going to come out here and interfere in this match. And then when it ended early, then the reality set in that Mark Henry was main eventing Raw with his stupid rally. And that brings us to the close of our review of Raw. And now is the time where we go around the round table here and we get everybody's final thoughts and letter grades. So, Matt, I want to start with you. Get your final thoughts and your letter grade for tonight's Raw.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, first things first, I would like to address one quick thing before I give you my letter grade. And this is the absolute uproar at Kenta's name change. I want to address this because people got really uptight over it. Oh, the WWE changed his name. They're getting their panties in a bunch and they were flipping out over it. I would like to address this right now. I addressed it on Facebook, but first and foremost, Kenta is the one who changed his name. He's the one who chose to change his name to Hideo Itami. He's been saying for months now, before he even was officially signed with WWE, that when he comes in, he wants to make a name for himself because he doesn't want, out of respect for everybody else on the roster, he doesn't want to just come in, and be handed stuff. He wants to work his way up like everybody else has to. And in order to do that, if he comes in as Kenta, everybody knows who Kenta is.
Yep.
And if you don't, then you are living under a rock and need to seriously do something with your life. Go check him out on YouTube because you're missing out on a lot. I'm a huge Kenta mark. I love the guy. But, people getting pissed off. I don't like the name. You know what? Kenta is a fucking wrestling god. If he wants to change his name to Banana Hammock, and he can change his goddamn name to Banana Hammock, and you will like it. And not only will you like it, but you'll go and you'll buy the goddamn T-shirt.
Oh man. Okay. Well,
that's just what I gotta say about that. And Hideo Itami, he's I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is a baseball player. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a hero of his, and he took the name on it because he respects this guy. I got nothing but respect for Kenta wanting to come into it, after being as amazing as he is, and saying, you know what, I'm no better than anybody else here. I want to start from the bottom and work my way up as a new character, to prove myself to these new fans. I respect the hell as a wrestling fan. You don't see that kind of humility anymore, and
Right.
and it just brings my respect even higher. So to get pissed off over that is completely ridiculous, and I'm revoking your wrestling fan badge if you get pissed off at that. Go watch TNA. Get out of here. But now that my little rant is over, that frustrated the hell out of me. Hence, a man, he can do whatever the hell he wants. My letter grade for Raw, I didn't think it was a terrible Raw, but I feel like there were so many little mistakes that they've kind of added up to one giant mistake. There was too many little mistakes. I didn't think the booking, as far as match placement, was very fluid. Comparison to last week's Raw, and knowing that this is supposed to be the go-home Raw, this is supposed to be the Raw that sells us on the pay-per-view. This is supposed to be the Raw that says, ooh, after seeing this, I'm going to go buy the pay-per-view. After seeing this Raw, I don't want to go buy the pay-per-view. I don't want to pay $9.99 on the network to go watch this pay-per-view now after this Raw. Being a WWE, huge WWE fan, I'm going to watch the pay-per-view, and being a part of Rope Break, I kind of have to watch the pay-per-view. I wish last week's Raw was this week's Raw. I wish it was reversed. I just thought it was a much better Raw last week. And for that, I'm going to give this Raw a solid C. Because I just feel like it overall wasn't a terrible Raw, but there's so many little minor mistakes that, throughout the entire Raw, they just kind of added up into one huge mistake. So C is my grade, and I'm sticking with it.
So you give it a B.
I give it a B. I give it a C, damn it.
Oh, it sounded like you said B. I don't know.
No, I give it a C.
Okay,
C.
so C as in crap. Got it.
In crap.
And just kind of to piggyback off of what you said there in regards to saying that, it wasn't booked, it didn't want to make you go and buy the pay-per-view, it didn't really make you interested this week. I mean, imagine what that would be like for kind of like a first-time viewer, and, they're watching this Raw, and, they're with their friends, they're a first-time viewer, they don't really understand wrestling, they don't understand WWE, and their friends are trying to say, hey, you got to watch this, you got to get interested in the product. If you're a first-time viewer and you're watching tonight, it's not, going to want to make you continue to watch, and like you said, go and, spend the $50 on the pay-per-view or $9.99 on the network. So if last week's Raw was this week's Raw, obviously it would be a different story, and maybe a first-time viewer would continue to stay interested in the product. So after saying that, Randy, I want to get your final thoughts and your letter grade for Raw.
Well, I mean, the show was pretty solid. I mean, it really was. There was a lot of good cuts, and then, like Matt said, that there was a lot of I mean, it wasn't even really that a whole lot, but there was a lot of miniature errors that they could have done a little bit better than they did. And I mean, the fact that they had a couple of the pay-per-view matches tonight really, like you said, did not make me want to go and spend my $10 or $9.99. I'm sorry, God forbid I say $10. It doesn't make me want to go spend it. Not that I do in the first place. I do not have the network. I usually just try to, because most of the time I work Sunday nights and I cannot watch it on the network. So what I do is I just go online and I find a replay or something on YouTube that I can watch, and I just kind of like skim through it. I don't really watch the whole thing unless it's something that I really, really want to see. So I mean, I don't even think I'm going to be able to get to watch it this Sunday because I think I have to work that night. But I mean, other than that, the show was pretty solid. I think the reason why they went ahead and did it is because maybe they know that a lot of fans cannot watch the show because if they have to be somewhere or whatever, because like a lot of people here lately have not been able to tune into Raw. Like a lot of my friends don't like wrestling, but they accept me for that because I am a wrestling fan, and like I have one of my friends come over and he'll watch the pay-per-views with me online and stuff, and like he'll sit here and he'll agree with me and disagree with me on a lot of things. Like he'll sit there and tell me, well they could have done this better and they could have done that better. Like at the Royal Rumble, I'm not even gonna get into that, but I mean, um, my grade for tonight, I'm gonna go with Matt, and I'm gonna give it a solid C. It was really lackluster. They could have done a little bit better with certain things. I mean, if they would have put the Henry and Rusev segment before the Reigns and Rollins match, I would have given it a B. And if they would have had
Right.
somebody interfere, that would have been maybe a solid B. But I mean, tonight was a C. I give it a C. I mean, it was a little bit better than last week's, but not by too much.
Right, I definitely agree with what you're saying there. It was better than last week's, but not by much. And as my usual spiel here at Rope Break, it could have been better. That's usually my thing here. It was good during the first hour. Um, After the first hour was kind of leading towards a B plus, and then the second hour you had that the Cesaro Uso clusterfuck match, and then you had Cameron and Naomi, and so then it kind of dropped down to a B minus, and then it kind of picked back up for me again with John Cena and Brock Lesnar, R-Truth, Dolph Miz, Damian Sandow, and then that final match uh, definitely kind of brought it up a little bit. And then you had Mark Henry at the end, which just kind of killed the mood of the whole show, really. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a C plus because it wasn't a bad show. It could have been better, but I don't think it was god awful. Um, as a go home show, it didn't really build towards a pay per view as well as it should have. And with that being said, we are well past our time limit here, as usual. But that's what we do because we're for the fans, by the fans. Time limit doesn't really matter anymore. And Matt, it's your time. Tell them about Friends, man. Tell them about Friends.
Oh my lord. We go over this every time, guys. What the hell are you doing? You're not listening to me? Turn the volume up and listen really closely. I say this every single week. I'm like a broken fucking record. if you got friends out there who are fans of wrestling but not fans of Rope Break because you neglected to tell them you're a bad friend and you need to bring them in. Bring them into the Rope Break lifestyle. Show them the light. It's okay to be cage side. It's all right, to be in the bleachers. But there is no better place to be than in the ring with Rope Break, and that is a guaranteed fact.
Fact, as Tyson Kidd would say, fact. Um, as Matt said, if you're not telling your friends about Rope Break, you're not a good friend. You can always, 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 always go to our Facebook page. We're on Twitter at Rope Break Wrestling. We're always on the YouTube page, giving you guys react every single week after Monday Night Raw. Sharpshoot comes out every single week. And, you can always check out our friends and partners at TRN. They have great product as well. And always, always, always visit RopeBreakWrestling.com for the latest WWE news and rumors. We are giving those to you daily. Fact. And guess what, guys? We're going to be live again this Sunday for the Night of Champions pre-show and Night of Champions React. And it's going to be great shows. We're going to give our predictions before the show. We're going to react to the show afterwards, so definitely tune in for that. And with that being said, that is the end of our show. And for everyone here at Rope Break Wrestling, that's Matt, that's Randy, I'm Alec. This has been React After Raw, and if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you. Rope Break.
Rope break.